If you're seated on the right hand side, please watch your hands, arms, feet, and legs. Those doors are going to be sliding shut.
Definitely get settled. We're about to go on a wild safari.
Asante Sana Warden, Jumbo friends, my name is Maggie. I'm going to be your safari guide out here on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Couple safety reminders before we get started. Please keep your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the truck at all times, and please do remain fully seated during the entirety of our safari. We're starting out in the Little Ituri Forest. Animals in the forest rely on camouflage to protect themselves, but if we're lucky, we'll be able to spot a few. Over on the right-hand side, you can see the very stripy legs of an okapi. Those stripy legs might make you think that the okapi is related to the zebra. However, it is the only living relative of the giraffe. That's going to be most evident in its skull shape and its prehensile tongue. Prehensile means finger-like. Like many animals in the forest, okapis are incredibly shy and reclusive. They weren't discovered by Western scientists until 1901. Up here on the left, there is a black rhino. Black rhinos are incredibly solitary and territorial animals, so they will often live by themselves. They have no natural predators. The only thing threatening their existence is us humans. In the year 2015, the black rhino had a population of about 5,000, but due to conservation efforts, that population has since doubled. They are the smallest type of rhino in Africa, and by smallest, I do still mean weighing 800 to 3,000 pounds. They have a prehensile upper lip. Their diet will consist mainly of leaves and berries. They are browsers. We're now leaving the Little Ituri Forest and entering the Safi River Valley. Here in the Safi River Valley, we can find some semi-aquatic animals, and semi-aquatic does mean that these animals are comfortable living both on land and in water. Up here on the right, there is a pod of pink-backed pelicans. Pink-backed pelicans are colonial nesters. They'll nest in groups anywhere from 20 to 500 birds. They get their name from those pink feathers under their wings and on their backs. And during their mating season, that pink color will grow darker and spread onto their face and beaks. On the left, there is a group of Nile hippopotamus. Hippopotamus is a Latin word that means river horse, because while hippos can swim, they do prefer to walk or run along the bottom of the river. Hippos are incredibly dense animals, being made mostly of muscle. Makes it very difficult for them to float. They can hold their breath for several minutes, and their eyes, ears, and nostrils have sealing mechanisms. Those are going to be the last things to enter the water, as well as the first things to exit. A group of hippos is called a bloat and will consist mainly of female hippos and their calves. If you keep looking into the river, you might be able to see one of the big predators, the Nile crocodile. Nile crocodiles can be 16 to 20 feet long. That is about as long as a giraffe is tall. They regulate their body temperature by opening their mouths, very similarly to how a dog will pant. They can travel over land, but they do prefer to stay in the river, as that's going to help to conserve their energy. We're now heading out of the Safi River Valley and into some more familiar territory, the savanna. The savanna is going to look a lot different from the forest and the river. It's going to be a lot more open. Animals in the savannah rely on speed, herding, and agility to protect themselves. On the right is one of the most important pieces of foliage in the savannah, the baobab tree. The baobab tree is known as the tree of life because it can store thousands of gallons of water in its bark. So when the savannah dries out, animals will chew on the bark of the baobab tree to release that water. As we head into the savannah, you might catch a glimpse of some familiar faces. The savannah is home to animals such as zebras, giraffes, elephants, and rhinos. I do see some animals way off in the distance, but we'll get a little bit closer before we start talking about them. There's a predator's den over on the left, but I'm not seeing any predators in or around that den. A little bit further up ahead, also on the left, there is a herd of Ankole cattle. The Ankole cattle have very large horns that may look like they are very heavy. However, they have a honeycomb-like structure on the inside, which makes them very lightweight and also allows blood to flow through them, which helps to regulate the cattle's body temperature. The Ankole cattle are part of the bovine family. They're my favorite animal on the reserve, and they are the only domesticated animal on the savannah. They were domesticated by the Watusi tribe, and they are also known as Watusi cattle. Back by the trees on the left-hand side, there's a group of sable antelopes. Sable antelopes are incredibly defensive animals. When faced with predators, they will often choose to stand their ground. There's also two elands here on the left. One back by this tree, the other one up around this bend here. Elands are one of the larger types of antelopes that live out in the savannah. Both males and females have horns, and when they walk, the tendons in their knees move, making a clicking sound to mark their territory. Now this one here is the female. You can tell them apart because of the color of their coat, and also their horns have slight differences. The females are going to be a lighter tan, while the males are more of a dusty brown. The males also have thicker, shorter horns, where the females are longer and thinner. Right, there is a springbok. Looks like there might be a few of them over there. Springboks are one of the smaller types of antelopes that live out in the savannah. They get their name from an action they do when they are excited or startled, where they will spring up into the air. When they do this action multiple times, it is called honking. There is a group of giraffes over here on the left. Giraffes are the tallest land animal. They can be 16 to 20 feet tall. A group of giraffes is called a tower. Now we already met the giraffe's only living relative, the okapi, back in the forest. And just like the okapi, giraffes have a prehensile tongue. They'll use their tongue to grab leaves off of trees and that tongue can be up to 18 inches long. That's about the length of an adult forearm from fingertip to elbow. There are some fallen trees around us, which could be a sign that we're headed into some elephant country. Elephants will knock down trees to get access to the foliage at the tops of the trees. They act a bit like the bulldozer of the savanna, and they play a vital role in maintaining the savanna as a grassland by limiting the amount of trees that have the ability to grow here. And of course, there's a mandrill over on the left-hand side. Mandrills are the largest type of monkey. They are monkeys, not apes, because they do have a tail, though it is a little one. And there were 2 African elephants on the right-hand side. Now we know that those are African elephants, well, because we are in Africa. Duh. Just kidding. We actually know that they're African elephants because of their ears. They're shaped a bit like the continent of Africa. African elephants are the largest land mammal. A female can weigh up to 8,000 pounds, and a male can weigh up to 13,000. Unfortunately, elephants, along with gorillas, are heavily threatened by habitat loss due to the mining of a mineral called coltan. Coltan is a shiny mineral that's used in the production of small electronic devices. However, coltan is reusable and it does not expire. So be sure to recycle your small electronic devices. That coltan will be reused. We can limit the amount of coltan that is mined, thus limiting our impact on elephant and gorilla habitation. There are some more signs of elephant activity up here in these red clay pits. There are some footprints and some tusk marks. Elephants will dig their tusks into the red clay and eat it. It is very nutritious and full of vitamins. Baobab trees up here on the right. The baobab tree is also known as the upside down tree because it looks a bit like there are roots growing from the top of it. It's going to remain leafless for most of the year. Elephants are one of the many types of animals that will benefit from the baobab tree. They'll dig their tusks into the tree trunk to release the water that the tree stores. Elephants live in matriarchal societies, which means a herd of elephants will mainly consist of females and their calves. The males will break off once they reach a certain age and either live by themselves or create a bachelor herd with other male elephants. There's an animal in the road up ahead, so we're just going to hang out here for a little bit. Now, speaking of elephant calves, elephants have the longest gestational period of any land mammal. It's around 22 months, which is a little less than 2 years, and around 2.5 human pregnancies. They also have the second longest lifespan of any land mammal. It's just short of humans at around 60 to 70 years. just waiting on that animal up ahead to move out of the way.
¿Qué dice? Hay un animal adelante que no lo puedo saber. De verdad que se me da solito.
Morning, everyone. Yeah, we had a little bit of a traffic jam on the safari this morning, so morning traffic here. Morning, Doug. Appreciate everyone joining us.
Sounds like we're going to be getting back on the move here shortly. Up here on the left, there is a group of greater flamingos. Greater flamingos are called greater flamingos not because they are better than any other type of flamingo, but because they are physically larger. Flamingos are hatched gray and they gain their pink color from a substance called beta-carotene in their diet. Beta-carotene is found in things like brine shrimp. Greater flamingos are the lightest shade of pink of any type of flamingo, so if you go visit the lesser flamingos at the front of the park, they're going to be significantly smaller, but also a significantly darker shade of pink. Black rhino we saw in the forest. White rhinos are very social animals and they live in groups. A group of white rhinos is called a crash. It will consist of about 10 to 15 rhinos. There are 3 more of those white rhinos over on the right as well. There's also a very large mud wallow on the left. Rhinos will roll around in that mud wallow to cool off, as well as to coat their skin in mud to protect it from the sun. That mud acts a bit like a sunscreen. If you look up to the left, you might be able to spot a cheetah. Cheetahs are the fastest land animal. They can run up to 60 miles per hour. However, they don't have the greatest stamina. They can only run that high speed for very short periods of time. Despite being physically large, cheetahs are not considered capital B big cats because they cannot roar. Instead, they will meow, purr, or chirp. Cheetahs are also one of the only types of cats that will hunt during the day. This is because they have very poor night vision. If you look up to the left-hand side, there is a rock formation called a kopie. Kopies are where some big predators like to live because they provide a great vantage point of the savanna while also providing some shade and shelter. There is a lion up there, but you're not always guaranteed to see anything up on the kopie rocks as they do absorb sunlight. So they can get very, very warm on very sunny days. Both of the lions we can see up there are females, and we know that because they do not have manes. Only the male lion has a mane, and there he is on that front rock. That mane is used for protection. The male lion is in charge of protecting the pride, while the females do most of the hunting. Unlike the cheetah, lions are big cats. They can roar, and over a flat savanna, that roar can be heard from up to 5 miles away. Lions are very, very tired animals. They'll rest for about 18 to 20 hours out of the day, and they're going to be most active at night. But they really do enjoy just lying around. If you look in the ground on the left-hand side, there are some very large burrows. Those burrows were made by warthogs. Warthogs are one of the largest burrowing animals on Earth. They're very closely related to the domesticated pig, and they can run up to 35 miles per hour. There's that group of white rhinos one more time on the right-hand side. White rhinos get their name from a mistranslation of an Afrikaans word, "vite," which means wide, because they have a very wide mouth. Because of that wide mouth, their diet will consist mainly of grass and hay. They are grazers. If you look on the ground on the right-hand side, there is a nest of ostrich eggs. Ostriches lay the largest of any bird eggs. Those eggs can weigh up to 3 pounds. They're able to withhold the weight of an adult human. And one ostrich egg is equivalent to about 2 dozen chicken eggs. We've now made our way out of the savannah and into the Magadi Glen, which is where the warden's post is. And it does look like the warden's goats are out. These are Nigerian dwarf goats, and despite their small size, they are fully grown. Goats are very playful and social animals, and they enjoy climbing. They have a symbiotic relationship with humans, which means it is mutually beneficial. Goats provide us with sweet and nutritious milk, and farmers provide goats with homes and health care. As we are getting past the warden's post, this is marking the beginning of the end of our safari. We saw a lot of animals out there, and hopefully you listened to me talk about them. Unfortunately, many of these animals are being threatened with endangerment or are already endangered, which means now I get to talk about my favorite topic, conservation. No matter who you are or where you live, you can take part in conservation. There was recently some big and exciting news within the conservation world. According to the IUCN Red List, green sea turtles are no longer considered critically endangered, which just proves that a lot of little actions can add up and create a much larger impact. It is so important to remember that conservation begins with education. So do some research into some of the animals we saw out on the reserve, or some that live in your local areas, and find out how you can help them. Now, my friends, we are coming to the very end of our safari, but here in Africa, we don't like to say goodbye. It is much too sad and far too final. So instead we say Kwaherini, which means to go well. So my friends, go well, go wild. Most importantly, go make a difference out there. Go have a magical day here in Animal Kingdom, or wherever your next adventure is taking you. And if you did have a wild time on this safari, my name is Maggie, and I am all the way from Oxford, Pennsylvania. For any of my wilderness explorers on the truck, you have been riding the Simba 1. If you're seated on the right-hand side, please watch your hands, arms, feet, and legs. Those doors are going to be sliding open. Watch your step as you exit the truck. Kwaherini, go well. Asante Sana, thank you for joining me out.